Well, good morning, good morning. Good morning from Massachusetts, from the east coast of the US. I'm Jennifer. If we're meeting for the first time, if you're returning, welcome back. I am going to do a quick check on my laptop to make sure that the video and audio are good. On your end, say hi, let me know where you're watching from, and also give me a thumbs up if you can hear me well and see me well, okay? Oh, it looks like we're pretty good. Good to go. Yes. Liliana, you were the first here. You early bird. Thank you for being here. Julia is joining us. Hi, Julia. Welcome back. And I see, is it Christophe? Hello. I'm glad you're looking forward to grammar. I have a grammar lover out there, at least one of you. Good to have you guys. Yes, yes. We're going to be focusing on reported speech. Reported speech, also known as indirect speech. And I see another, I'm not sure, I'm going to try to say your name. Is it Kitmap? But I welcome you. Good to see you. Good to have you guys here. If you're watching the recording, thank you for finding time to catch up. Channel members know that after the live stream, as usual, you will have a set of tasks to practice further, right? So usually, after, not usually, always after the live stream, I share member-only tasks to give further practice on the topic. Today, it's reported speech. If you're not a member yet, just click join and you'll get access to those tasks. Also, each week I post a one-question quiz to challenge you, maybe with grammar or vocabulary, something connected to your studies. And so if that's another perk that you would like to have in your studies, then again, consider joining as a member. You just click the join button, okay? I see Vishnu here. Hi there. Good to have you here. Surprise, surprise. Oh my gosh, surprise always wants to surprise me with interesting challenges. The 12 days of Christmas and a partridge in a pear tree, two turtle doves. Does that satisfy you? Surprise. Vitali, hello. Good to have you back. Espirio, hello. Welcome, Ola. Manuel is back in the house. Manuel is here. You don't need to sing a lullaby. Only 5 minutes of the Cinderella tale and your children would fall asleep. Is that a compliment, Manuel? I hope. I did sing. I don't sing very well, but I do enjoy singing. I think a lot of moms do that, and the babies, are forgiving. They just want to hear their mother's voice. So I did sing. I sang all kinds of songs, like patriotic songs, nursery rhymes, whatever, just to soothe my children if they needed to calm down or fall asleep. I don't know. Do you have any memories of someone singing to you? Maybe your grandmother, somebody else in your family? I hope everyone has some good memories of someone singing to them or making them laugh, making them comfortable as kids. That's a good feeling to have, isn't it? Anju is here. Welcome, welcome. Manuel, are you traveling? Manuel is a time traveler today. Good to have you here. And Rhonda Jamal came. Hi there. And Victor, is it Victor from Poland? Hello, dzień dobry. Good to have you here. All right, guys, we are going to focus on reported speech. I will try to keep up with the chat. If I miss any questions or comments, forgive me. I will try then at some point to catch up. But if I miss a question, just repost it and I'll try to catch up at some point. I'll also try to have some Q&A towards the end, whether it's on reported speech or anything else that you'd like to ask me, okay? All right. Surprise, I know you have all kinds of curious questions, but I'd like to get started. I'm going to do one more check over here. Oh, don't you hate pop-ups? I have my desktop open, my laptop, and any kind of pop-up notifications, pop-up ads, I try to turn them all off and disable them because they're just so distracting, right? And I just had one. Ugh, don't you find them annoying sometimes? Mohammed is here. Mohammed Omar Farouk. Good to have you here too. Okay. Oh, and also, did you know, I figured out the challenge with my webcam and my OBS studio software. I still think there's something weird going on, but I did play around with it more and I figured out a way to zoom in and then expand my screen. So I like to say every problem has a solution, right? Every problem has a solution. And if there's a will, there's a way, right? If you have this desire to move forward somehow, you will find it. You just got to keep trying. So thank you for your patience. I think the past 1 or 2 live streams, I had a square screen. And finally, I'm back to a full screen, I'm happy to say. Stunning Lad 1 is here. Manuel began to miss you. Let me take a sip of tea and I will share my screen. Okay, still double checking. Audio seems good, right? Okay, guys, let me work a little magic. Share my screen. Webcam only. Okay. All right, guys, I am back to my full screen because some of you are saying you don't have the audio going on. Okay. Okay. Let's try this. Let's test the mic. How's that? Did it come back? Kenneth is saying yes now. Thank you for your patience. Yay! Okay, so goodbye Yeti. Hello, the Logitech, my cheap headset. Good thing to have a backup, right? All good? Yay! My hippo also joined. All right, thank you for your patience, guys. Let's jump back. All right, I don't know where let's go back to this. Very strange, very strange. Okay. Okay. Okay, one way or the other, that one of these mics should work. I have two mics in front of me, but I went back to my Yeti. My hippo says that the sound is back. Okay, one way or the other, that one of these mics should work. Manuel's saying, carry on. Oh my goodness. Let's cross our fingers and hope for the best. Rhonda's saying it's fine. Apologies, guys. I'm thinking it could be something with the connection. A wire, but we now have two sets of wires. I have the Yeti in front of me, which should be active right now, and I'm wearing the headset so I can keep switching back and forth. It seems if I switch, it works. Okay, are we good to go? Okay. I have the audio softly playing in the back so I can try to pay attention to whether or not it's working. Apologies, guys. Let's try to carry on. Okay? Okay, how are we now? Lordy, lordy. We good to go? Yay! All right. Sorry. I just think I have to keep switching back and forth. I think that's how it's going to work. Don't wake up dad. If you're not trying to wake someone up, you talk softly, and that's whispering. I saw people have put that in the chat. Very good job. Whispered. Stunning like what it says crackly. On my laptop it sounds good. I'm going to trust that it sounds good. There's a typo on page 2. Right? Pointed out, right? Literally, you can point out with your finger, but when you're pointing something out, you're showing, you're telling, you're indicating. That's another way to say it. Indicate would be the one-word equivalent of point out. You pointed something out to someone. You don't have to say to whom, but you can. Yes, if you're making a suggestion, you are proposing an idea. Very good. You guys are on the ball. And finally, these last two, let me take this down. I'll put this one here so you can see more easily. Our team has won 2 championships. There's different ways you can say that, right? Our team has won 2 championships. It's just a statement, but our team has won 2 championships, right? Is definitely boasting. Yes, Manuel is one of those who correctly identified the reporting verb. Nice work. Okay, which means, are you crazy? Right? Shrieking is also going up into a high pitch. So it's not just shouting, but it's like going really high. Not just, are you crazy? Are you crazy? Your voice goes up. Shrieking. Shrieking is with like surprise and shock, alarm. Shrieked. Shrieked. If those are new for anybody, then please note them. This might be new. Assert, shriek. Boast is saying how good you are. There's a bit of arrogance in there, right? You're showing off and telling people your achievements in a way that there's too much pride involved, right? Some pride is good, but a lot of pride in order to show how much better you are, that's boasting, right? Proposing is suggesting, pointing out is showing or indicating. Whispering is being quiet, and asserting is stating something with the conviction that it is true. Okay? Question for you. Now look at the word order. We have subject, verb, subject, verb. Here I pointed out, but I am the subject, verb. To whom? Okay? Whoops, put that there. My question right now is, where is it possible to switch the word order? If right now we have subject, verb, where can we switch it around and put the verb first? Let me scroll back out and you take a look. Give me an example of where we might be able to switch the word order. Take a look. Stunning Lad 1, I'm sorry my voice is crackly on your end. On my laptop it's good. I'm going to hope that it's good for most of everybody. Thank you, Stunning Lad 1, for noting that pointed out is our phrasal verb. Manuel, where are we getting with, I don't know, we're getting into music now. Manuel's commenting on the song Killing Me Softly with his song. Okay, Mahippo, you're saying that there is also some audio feedback on your end. I apologize. Okay, I'm going to hope that for most of you the audio is good as it is on my laptop. What I'm going to do is take you through these statements and show you where it is possible to switch the order and why. Here, it is possible. We can switch it, and we will. One way isn't better than another, it's just a variation. You'll often see this one like in novels, and like when you're narrating a story, asserted the defense lawyer. Okay? Here we can do it too. Whispered my older brother. Here and here we're not going to do it. If you start with a subject pronoun, it sounds really weird to do it. So I wouldn't say, for example, let's try something new, proposed she. Okay? So with a subject pronoun, no, we're not going to switch it around. Also, if we name who we're talking to, then we also don't switch it. It sounds really awkward to do that. So for two reasons, I'm not going to switch here. This is a subject pronoun, and I'm also naming the person I'm talking to. Out of curiosity, can someone let me know that it is smooth on their end, the audio? Because I'm listening on my laptop and everything is smooth. I'm wondering if it just depends on the varying strength of our internet connections. Okay, Stunning Lad 1, insisted. Yes, asserted, insisted. Same thing here. So I, she, he, I'm not going to switch because this is a subject pronoun. I could say boasted Tom, boasted Manuel, for example, but if there's not a proper name and there's only a subject pronoun, I'm not going to switch. Here we have this extra phrase. It's a prepositional phrase, and it explains the manner and the reason why the person shrieked. I wouldn't switch it in this case. I could say, "Are you crazy?" shrieked my friend. But because I have alarm, I would keep it this way. I wouldn't try to say, "Shrieked in alarm my friend," or "shrieked my friend." You could do "shrieked my friend in alarm," but I prefer it this way. So you could possibly switch it, "shrieked my friend in alarm," but I like keeping this together. That's my personal preference, okay? So in your reporting clause, you can switch the order around if you do not have a subject pronoun, okay? And also if you don't name the person that you're talking to. Okay, super. Good job. I'm still curious, guys. I'm hearing the audio on my laptop and it sounds fine. I'm curious if anyone else is having a normal experience or if other people are getting the crackly feedback that a couple others have noted. And if you are, I apologize. I do apologize. Never had this before. There's always something new. Okay, could be internet issues. I do apologize. Let's carry on as best we can. We have a list to get through here. Now, I'm going to not let everyone jump ahead too much here, so we'll put one sentence here at a time, okay? So, at this point, we get into a bigger challenge. When we report someone's words, we have to make a number of changes to keep it logical. But one of the bigger challenges is with verbs. Sometimes we have to backshift, and normally what happens is that present becomes past, and past shifts back to past perfect. If somebody spoke using the past perfect, there's nowhere to shift back to, so you just keep it. So everything starts shifting back. If you're in the past perfect already, you don't shift. Do you always have to change? Do you always have to backshift verbs? No, you don't. If something is still true, you know, like
Paris is beautiful. She said Paris is beautiful. You can keep is if it's still like a truth, or maybe that's an opinion. That's not the best one. I could say Paris is the capital of France. She said Paris is the capital of France. That's a better example. So if we're stating facts or general truths, sometimes we don't backshift because it's still true. Okay? So you have to just think logically. If the future is still the future, you can use the future verb, right? But if somebody's speaking about the future and you're referring to that past time when they spoke, then things have to change because the time frames have changed. Does that make sense? So you don't have to backshift. You do not have to change verbs if something is still true and relevant. Okay? Also, if you're doing like simultaneous interpreting, if you're translating and you're saying what someone said and it was just said like a second or two ago, often people don't translate. They just keep it in the same verb forms. Okay? So those are things to keep in mind. Yes. Okay. This is a story that I shared with lifelong learners on Patreon because this past month we focused on describing people and describing events. And I was talking about a woman who had come into the gift shop when I was working there. I was in my young 20s there. And I was just taking a break from between college and my graduate work. And I was just looking for something different in life, just to have a break. And so this is a story about a woman who came in and she gave me just a little bit of advice, a little push in the right direction so that I would get back on my path in life. And so that was my example for my lifelong learners. And now their follow-up task is to describe a time when they received advice or just guidance from another person. So here in this one, look, we have our reporting verb as told, and we can keep that. Okay, so we can just keep that right here. Jennifer told the gift shop customer that, and you don't always have to use this, but reporting clauses usually contain that, and if it's omitted, we understand it. You are not Jennifer, so you would have to switch it to she, right? And that's also the subject here. And then I'm correct. I see everyone shifting back. Was from Pennsylvania. And again, you say, do you have to switch? No. You could use is. She told the gift shop customer that she's from Pennsylvania, especially if you were to use the contraction. It would sound just fine. Okay? So a lot of people reporting this would probably use the contraction, which doesn't use backshifting. If you do these kinds of grammar exercises in textbooks or online, they'll want you to shift, and they'll mark it wrong if you don't shift. So traditionally, they'll tell you to shift, but again, we don't always for certain reasons. Backshifting is just moving the verbs back one time frame, right? From present to past or past to past perfect. Okay? All right. Okay, next one. Because you guys are jumping ahead so fast. How about this one? I'm taking a break from academia, she explained. Here we have the present. Here we have present progressive. Present progressive shifts to what? Past progressive. Okay? So she explained that, again, we can include it or not, that, again, we also have to change words that refer to people, right? It's no longer I because you're talking about Jennifer, so you're going to switch that to she. Yes, Vitali, that she was taking a break from academia. You got it. Okay, so we went from present shifting to past, and again, not everybody would, and you don't necessarily have to because I still am from Pennsylvania, that's my home state. Here we're shifting from the present progressive to the past progressive. Okay, let's put that up here. Next one. Okay, let's go up to 3. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, I've been working in the steamboat industry for the past year, she said. She said, we can keep said, that. What do we have here? Present, perfect, progressive. Looks like the internet is cooperating with us right now. I still have good audio on my laptop. Okay. What's going to change? Well, we keep changing the first person to third. The verbs are going to have to change. So if this is a present form of have, what is the past form? Yes. And Vitaly nicely used a contraction, which is fine. Okay, but just so you understand the full form, it's she'd been working. And this still makes sense. Logically, it makes sense. We don't need to change anything. If I had said, like last year, then I would change it maybe to the previous year, the year before, right? But this still makes sense. She said that she had been working, right, in the steamboat industry for the past year. Super job. Okay. Okay, I already graduated from college, Jennifer stated. What words need to change? Notice each time, of course, naturally we're not using the quotation marks. Those are only for quoted speech, direct speech. We lose those, we don't need them. Again, we could use that, but we don't have to. We're going to change our reference words. Yes, Manuel, steamboats do exist. We use them for tourism on our rivers. It could be like a short little 1-2 hour cruise, or it actually could be like a few days or a week cruise. She'd been working. Yes, keep going on to 4. Okay. This is interesting. Americans don't always use the past perfect when there's an option to use the simple past, because the simple past is so simple, it's so nice and easy and short that we just like it more than the past perfect. So some people wouldn't shift just because it's just shorter to use the simple past. You can get away with keeping the simple past here. Jennifer stated that she already graduated from college. But again, if technically you're supposed to backshift, and so you could also do she'd, meaning she had already. Remember, if you have any adverb like this, like an adverb of frequency or already, you put it after the first helping verb. So you separate the verb. There are 2 parts of the verb, so put it after the helping verb. Super. Okay. So it's possible to keep the simple past. A lot of Americans would. But here, simple past often shifts to the past perfect, but you don't have to. Especially in American English, we don't always do that. Okay? All right. I'm going to put 5 and 6 up here and see how you do with those. Okay, 5 and 6. Focus on this. Was feeling and had never visited. Okay? What can shift? What cannot shift? Julia, you're on the ball. You got the correct word order as well. Stunning Ladwood, can you tell me if the audio is any better on your end? Again, I'm hearing things just fine on my laptop over there. I'm just curious. My hippo, are you getting feedback? Okay, Julia wrote, Jennifer admitted that she was feeling kind of burned out. Yeah, you don't have to. Some people would keep it. You would keep it. It's possible. Admitted that she was feeling kind of burned out. But the other possibility is to shift. Past can shift to past perfect. Yes, Julia, so you gave us the other variation. Had been feeling. So past progressive can shift to past perfect progressive. Some people might not, right? They might not, and we'll still understand. Okay, especially, what did we say? If something was just said recently, or if it's still true. Let's say you have another friend named Jennifer, and she has been having difficulty lately, and you know that she's still dealing with her difficulties. So she's not feeling well, and she's feeling burned out. She was feeling kind of burned out. If someone tells you she was when I last saw her, she was feeling burned out. You say, oh, everyone's saying that she was feeling kind of burned out last week. So maybe she's still feeling that way. It just all depends. Just try to think logically. If it's definitely all in the past and no longer true, I'd probably shift. At that point in time, she had been feeling burned out, but that's not the case now. Right? So to emphasize that it was all in the past, you would shift. But there are reasons why other people would not. So again, you might hear both. That's the point. Oh, I'm so sorry, my hippo. Okay. Okay, here. Whoopsies. Past perfect cannot shift any further back. That's as far back as we can go. So if someone says something with past perfect or past perfect progressive, you don't shift. Just keep it as is. Just change reference words. Okay? She added, and again, that, who, she had never visited the southern states along the Mississippi. Correct, Manuel, you got it too. Okay. All right, let's go on. You guys are doing awesome. Let's do 7, 8. Okay. Here's the verb. What are you going to change? This is rather long, so just focus on the verbs for me and tell me what other changes you'd make. Mused, by the way, might be new for some of you. If you're musing about something, you're just thinking aloud. You're just thinking aloud about things. Mused. Consider would be somewhat similar. Thinking about something. Considering it as a possibility. She mused. Yeah, and mused, by the way, I don't know if I'd necessarily use it with that, like she mused that, but she mused about a possibility. So let me change this one first. I possibly would do something like this. She mused about, let me show you my preferred wording, about going to graduate school at some point. This would be my preferred wording. If I switch this to just a simple reporting verb. But by the way, this should be at some, whoopsie, I'll go to graduate at some point in time. You could say in some point in time, or just at some point. Let's change that. I apologize, that wasn't very clear. This is better. She mused about going to graduate school at some point, or she said, and then I'll take what Vitali wrote. Very good. He changed I'll to she'd. Okay, so we're changing the reference word, I to she, and then would can become a contraction. You can write she'd. But just so that it's clear for everybody, let's switch that to would. She would go. to graduate school at some point. Okay, so personally, if I want to keep mused, I'd probably use mused with a preposition, mused about doing something. But if we're going to work with I'll, you need to shift that to would. Will becomes would in reported speech. Up here, what did she explain? She explained that she had been working. Right, we're going to keep this past perfect or past perfect progressive, doesn't change. Okay. We have to keep everything logical. So had been working for a few months when, or this is going to change too, she decided to leave, another reference word has to change, her job to volunteer at an orphanage in another country. Okay? I'm not going to use two past perfects because we still need to show the sequence that when the decision was made up to that point in time, she had been working, right? So we still need to make a distinction between a first point in time and a second point in time. She explained that, we're missing the subject, she had been working in the Bahamas for a few months when she decided to leave her job to volunteer at an orphanage in another country. True story. Okay. After I graduated from college, first I had to finish up my teacher training. That was one thing. Then I went into the cruise line industries and I worked in the Bahamas. Then I volunteered. Then I went back into the cruise lines. I worked on a steamboat. Then I volunteered again. Then I went to graduate school. If you want to use contractions, you'll have a more conversational tone. If you do, if you use contractions, it's just more conversational, more everyday. A lot of people use them. They're also used in email, right? Even in business emails, right? If you need a more formal tone, then don't use the contractions. So you choose the tone that is appropriate for your audience, right? You don't want to always be casual. You don't always want to be super formal. You have to know what the situation is and who your reader or your listener is, right? And then you decide what's appropriate. Okay, let's go on. I'm going to give you 9 and 10. 9 and 10. Okay. This is true. On the steamboat, at one point there was a talent show and all the crew members were invited to perform. So people sang, a lot of people played music or sang a song. I think somebody told jokes or something like that. Oh, I think passengers also participated, by the way. But I decided to do a Filipino dance. There was another guy from the Philippines. I'm half Filipino, and we decided to do one of the folk dances for everybody, and it was a lot of fun. So, yeah. What did I announce? I'll be performing. Vitali, Julia, good job. She'd be performing. Yes, and I'm so happy you guys give both variations, with and without the contractions, okay? So we're going to take this, change the reference words, okay? This is going to change to she'd, but if we want the full form, just so everyone is clear, because always remember, if you see she'd, you have to know whether it's would or had. But we know that backshifting requires will to become would, right? So will be performing, would be performing. We'll end with a period there. Please come if you can, she politely suggested to the passenger. This might require some playing around. We can't always just keep everything exactly as is from the reporting clause. I might say there's a couple of ways. Let me see what you came up with. Yes, Stunning Lad One. There was a TV show called The Love Boat. It made it probably helped, sell some some vacations on the cruise lines. People saw the show and said, "Oh, I want to experience that." Manuel knows it. Jasmine, backshifting, we're backshifting verbs, right? For example, will is becoming would, will be performing, would be performing. Future moves to past, present moves to past, past moves to past perfect. If there's anything said using the past perfect, you can't shift, just leave it as is. Okay? Okay, Vitaly suggested to the passenger that he come if he could. Yes, suggested that. I suggest that you go. So suggest is a special verb. We suggest or recommend that someone do something. Vitaly remembered that suggest, if you're going to use a full clause with a subject and a verb, you use the base verb. This is a very common mistake. So whether I use suggest or suggested, I still use the base verb for the action I want. So I suggest that you come. I suggested that you come. I will suggest that you come. So it doesn't matter what tense, which form I'm using with suggest. The action I want is for him to come, and I use the base verb there. She politely suggested that the passenger come. And I think if possible would work out, but Jennifer said, you could also that the passenger should come if he could, or if she could. Doesn't matter. In this case, it actually was another woman, but we can change it to he. Doesn't, if that's the situation. Okay. This one I'm switching. Should, again, is not obligation. It's just it's a low level of obligation. It's not necessity, but it's like I want you to. It would be nice if you could do that. Should come if he could. There's different ways you could use this, right? If you want to use can in your reported speech, it has to switch to could. That's the point, okay? But because we have suggest here, this is the grammar required. No worries. Politely suggested that the passenger come if possible. She said that the passenger should come if he could. Also possible. Okay, you guys are doing awesome. And I know some of you are still dealing with audio. Yeah, so we'll just finish up here with these. I like your variation, my hippo. She suggested coming if they could. I like that too. Suggested has different variations, right? You could do suggested that, in which case we use that subjunctive come, or we could do suggested doing something. Suggested coming if possible. Suggested coming if they could. And if you, that's another thing. I like what my hippo did. If you don't know if it's a he, she, what you should use, you can get away with they. Yes. The passenger come if they could. This is informal but possible. We do this quite often these days when we don't know the gender or we're unsure what gender to refer to. Sometimes we use they. In everyday American English, we do. Okay, so that's a possibility. She inquired. Who's going to get this one? Reporting questions. Another level up here. When we report questions, there are additional changes we need to make. This is a yes-no question, first of all. If it's a yes-no question, we need the help of one or another word. Not that. Yes, Vitaly, if you're asking about should, yes. Americans don't use should here. We don't, we would just say come. I suggest that you come, not suggest that you should come. You don't need it, okay? Aha! Stunning Lad 1 got it. Okay, guys. This is a yes-no question. If you're going to report this question, you could use if or you could use whether, right? If is more common. And now, we're going to keep if, whether, she May is special as a modal verb. Here, the person is asking for permission. It's basically like asking, can I give you some advice? Can. And we've done this before. If we use can, we shift to could. In this particular question, may is like can. You're asking for permission. I would change this to could. If she could give some advice, right? She inquired whether she could give some advice. You could also say offer. I like offer is nice. But the important thing here is you need to use if and whether. Let's put that in a special color. And then I would use could. Ooh, that was a challenge, huh? Yes, it is. May sometimes gets reported as might, but I would choose may like here. Now look at this, Vitali. Okay, we have may again, but it has a different meaning. Okay, do you see that here may is being used to ask for permission? Here, may is not being used to ask for permission. May is being used for what? You may not, you might not. It's possible that you do not. May is being used to talk about possibility, a degree of certainty. She asserted that Jennifer might not have all the time she thinks she has, or something, all the time that she thinks she does. Okay, ooh, that gets tricky. She asserted that Jennifer might not have all the time she thinks she does. That's what I would keep. You might not have all, she asserted that Jennifer might not have all the time she thinks she does, or she thought she did. Would I shift this? She might not have all the time she thought she did. You could, thought she did. Jennifer might not have all the time she thought she did. You could. But do you see in my first variation, I didn't. And again, in reported speech, it's usually not a very formal context. And so, especially in very quick reported speech, our mind doesn't work as fast and we don't do all the shifting. So I personally would not be confused by this statement if someone did not shift. If you want to use she thinks she does or thought she did, my mind would accept both. What's more important to me is here, shifting, right? She asserted that Jennifer might not have all the time she thought she did. Okay. Another point that I want to clarify again is that may can have more than one meaning. If it's permission, I think it's most natural to shift to could. If it's about possibility and certainty, then I think it's more natural to shift to might. And also, to tell you the truth, some Americans might just keep may. They're not going to change it at all. Okay? You must think about your future. I'm seeing some different variations. Oh, I like that, Manuel. She urged Jennifer, maybe. She urged that. How about she urged Jennifer to think about the future, right? You don't have to keep the exact same words. You could just keep the intention like Manuel did. She urged Jennifer to think about the future. She urged Jennifer to make good use of her time. That's possible, okay? Okay, you must think about the future. I like that. And we're going to start with the older woman. Urged Jennifer to think about the future. Very well done. Must think. Because you can urge to think. But what else is possible? The older woman said that, wait. How about this one? The older woman told Jennifer that she, here, if you want to write it this way, you can't keep must. I want to see if... No, urged you. No, Joel, I wouldn't say urged you thinking. Urge takes the infinitive. So if you do it that way, you have to use the infinitive. You urge someone to do something. Yes. To ask for permission, Vitali, yes. You could do like, might I have a word with you? Yeah. But it sounds very formal to my ears. I would probably say, can I talk to you? Could I talk to you? Okay, watch this. The older woman told Jennifer that she had to think about the future. Or she needed to think, right? Or you could say, how about she needed to think? What else? You could use should. It's not changing the meaning too much. Should is a little bit weaker than had to. My point is that we have to do something with must. One way is to avoid it and just do urge to think, but if you want to keep something close to must, then you're going to use had to think. Okay, but needed to think, that's also necessity, right? Needed to think, had to think. She should think possible. Okay. Jasmine, I'm asking Miss, will... Right. About, yes, your future. You could say about her future or the future. It doesn't matter. The future. Both are fine, Jasmine. Okay? All right, last set, guys, and we'll be winding down. Okay. I'll put this here. 14, 15, 16. You guys are doing great. We're getting into more challenging reported speech here. We went from just the tenses, we got into modal verbs, we had a yes-no question. Now I'm using a WH question. So how is that going to change? There are a couple possibilities here. Yes, Manuel. Had to is stronger than should. The elderly lady gave Jennifer sound advice. She did. So the whole story was that I was having fun on in the cruise line industry, and it was all fun, but it wasn't my real path in life, right? I had to remember that I was taking a break. And this woman came into the gift shop and was asking me about who I was, what I was doing. She's just really nice, but I feel like the universe sent her to me to remind me that I needed to think about what I really want to do. And when she looked at me at one point, she just said, Jennifer, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? She said something like that with that kind of tone. And it just made me think, like, yeah, what am I doing here? Like, this has been fun, but I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I know I'm supposed to do something else. So I felt like it was a real good push from a kind person in the right direction. Yeah. So I wondered, okay, what do you think I should do? Jennifer wondered what... No, it's not a yes-no question. So only use if or whether when you're reporting a yes-no question. Again, when you report a yes-no question, you will need if or whether. With WH questions, you already have a question word, so keep it. We have this what, so we're going to keep it. Jennifer wondered what she should do. This is how I'd report it. The other possibility, who knows how to make this even shorter? What she had to do? What she did. Had to is stronger than should. So we can keep should. Should does not change in reported speech, right? Like must usually changes to had to. Will changes to would. Can changes to could. May often changes to might or possibly could if it's permission, but should doesn't need to change in reported speech. So if we use should here, we can keep it here. But the other possibility, Yeah, I like that you're going in the direction of an infinitive, though. Jennifer wondered what to do. You can use infinitives after a WH word like this. What to do, where to go, when to leave, for example, right? And this structure implies should. It's the same, okay? What did you write here? 15. She pressed. Pressed is like mused. Remember how mused is about thinking, and I chose not to use mused that. I said mused about. So pressed is good here in this kind of reporting clause, but I might use a different way of reporting it. Maybe the passenger, she pressed her point by asking if, this is a yes-no question, I said we need if or whether to report, right? If or whether. Vitali wondered what? She inquired whether life in the cruise line was Jennifer's future plan. I like what Stunning Lad Run 1 wrote. You could read that as a variation. Vitali, Jennifer wondered what she should do next. You could put that as a variation. Okay, let's do this one. As a yes-no question, we need help, if or whether. So she pressed her point by asking if, whoopsies, Jennifer, what other changes need to happen here? Present, shifts to past, wanted to spend her life in the cruise line industry. Do you see all those changes? Want, wanted. Because it's a yes-no question, we need help. If or whether. She pressed her point by asking if Jennifer wanted to spend her life in the cruise line industry. Okay. Julia, the woman confided that she... but look at this, guys. We have to account for the fact that it's a report. It's a conditional. How to report conditionals? You need to remember this. If it's an unreal conditional, you're imagining things. It's either hypothetical or counterfactual. But if it is unreal, you make no changes to the verbs. I'll say that again. Remember, when I teach conditionals with if, they're either real or unreal. If it is unreal, you don't need to change any of the verbs. No backshifting. She pressed her if she... I like the use of if, Jasmine, but be careful because pressed is a reporting verb, but I don't think it works very nicely with that, like said that, ask that, right? Whispered that. So I would rephrase it. This is a little bit more advanced, but I would write it this way. She pressed her point by asking if, and then go on. Okay, so the woman confided... and then that, we don't have to, but we could put it in there. We just need to change reference words. This is an unreal conditional. We're going to keep if and change all of these to make it logical. That if she had stuck to her goals, she would have been a happier person. Does that make sense? Yes, love your activity, guys. Okay. I know we were slowed down a little bit by technical difficulties, so we're a little past the hour. But stick with me, and we will end our look at reported speech very soon in the coming minutes. Right? So let's just recall what we've been doing. We've been backshifting, right? Again, the general guideline is future and present shift to the past. Past shifts to the past perfect. Past perfect stays the same. Unreal conditionals stay the same. With modal verbs, you've done very well remembering that will shifts to would, can shifts to could, may could use one of two verbs, right? We could use may shifting to could for permission, may shifting to might for possibilities and certainty, right? Should does not change. We keep that modal verb the same. Okay? Let me put something in the chat for you, by the way. This is reminding me, boop, 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 this is what I want to remind you of. I'll put this in the chat for you guys. Can you see this? Boop. Okay. This is from the blog that I have for teachers. It was an exercise that I created, but you can use it because the answers are there. So if you need additional practice, especially with real and unreal conditions, go ahead, click on that, and that'll be additional practice for all of you. Okay? All right, the final thing I want to look at right now is this little chart to remind you we have been changing verbs and we have been changing reference words like subject pronouns and also possessive adjectives, right? I to she and my to her, whatever makes sense logically. Do not forget that time words often have to change as well. And it gets a little tricky, but just try to think logically. If something is still true, like if I talk about tomorrow and you report my words on the same day, then tomorrow is still tomorrow. But if the time changes, then your reference point changes and you have to think logically. What other words need to change? Now becomes then. All right. I'll put that down a little bit. Today, let me see if you guys are catching up with me where we are. I'll put this one here. That I just added, by the way. I see you guys are still on the last part of my little story. The woman didn't talk about herself. I just thought maybe she was giving me advice because, you know, she was thinking about her own goals and her own decisions and things that she had done and things that she hadn't done, and maybe she just wanted to help a younger woman either do the right thing or not make the same mistakes, right? So, and anyways, I always will remember her and I will always be grateful. I don't even know her name. I just remember that she gave me a push in the right direction and I'm very thankful, right? If she had stuck to her original goals. Did I change that? Yeah, if she had stuck. Okay. All right. Today, has to change, right? If this was said like last year, let's say that like some point last year, today becomes that day, for example. Yesterday, what would you say? I'd say the day before or the previous day, possibly. I like the day before. What else? Today becomes yesterday. It all depends, right? If someone spoke yesterday and said the word today, yes, but let's say this happened a long time ago. We don't know the exact date. So we only can say that day, whenever it was. The day before, the previous day, the day before yesterday, what would I say? 2 days before that, or 2 days before, 2 days earlier. I might say that. Tomorrow. Yeah, 2 days ago. Possibly. Again, Manuel, you have to think logically. If it was 2 days ago on Wednesday, you could say that. But if this was 3 years ago, 5 years ago, I don't know how many weeks ago, it's all relative. So again, just think very logically, okay? Tomorrow is going to be the next day or the following day. The day after tomorrow, 2 days later, or 2 days after that. Following is a good word. So anytime you see like next week, for us, next week is the second week of August. But if someone is watching this recording a few years from now, the time points have all shifted. right? So next week becomes the following week. Next month, the following month. Get it? Just think logically. Last week, we could use words like previous, right? Or earlier. So last week was the week before. I could also say 1 week earlier, the previous week, last week, the previous week, the week before that. Yeah, I would do that. 1 week earlier. So there's variations. Last year, what would I say? Year. The year before, I guess. The previous year. Yes, yes. Okay. Here, it's all relative again. So if you're still reporting it and you're in that place, you can use here, but think logically. If it has changed in terms of time and place, then here becomes there. If there's distance now, this can become that. Very good, stunning lad. One. And these can become those. You got it. Woohoo! Okay, guys. Yay! Okay, just reminding members there will be additional practice on the community tab. Okay, thank you so much for sticking with me despite the technical difficulties at the beginning. I apologize that some of you had glitchy audio. I don't know what caused that. Hopefully we will not have that at our next live stream together. Again, in the chat you'll find extra practice if you want it. If I missed any questions, now's the time to put that in the chat. Also, just put them in the comments. I will be checking, maybe not immediately because I will be traveling over the weekend, but I always check comments when it's not during a vacation. Okay, members, remember, not only do you get the follow-up tasks, don't forget that I'm posting little quizzes, short little quizzes every week, so check them out. Thank you. I see some active members here today, and I'm very happy to have you here. Don't forget that if you do want a whole lot more than this, and you would love to have your camera and microphone turn on, you can have that experience on Patreon. Okay, I turn on mics, I turn on cameras. We have live Q&A. We also have a Q&A board that's accessible 24/7, and that is on Patreon, guys. Okay. July is over. August has a different schedule because I'm scaling back. The full classes will resume in September, but current lifelong learners are still enjoying events and tasks on Patreon. I thank you all for being here with me today. I thank you for your patience with the technical issues that we had, and I hope that this has been useful for you as a review of reported speech. Okay? I thank you for being here. All you grammar nuts, yes. Okay. Thank you for your activity. I wish you all the best, guys. Okay. Thank you and take care.